What's up, students? My name is PhillyGoldenTeacher and welcome back to my class. Thank you so much for joining me today. I find working with Agar to be a very fun process and is quite an essential foundation if you want to take a further step down the rabbit hole that is mycology and growing mushrooms. Today I'll be explaining what Agar is, what the uses and benefits are to using Agar, and I'll show you a simple recipe on how you can make your own Agar using ingredients you can find at your local grocery stores. As a side note, you're going to need a pressure cooker for this. So what is Agar? To keep it simple, Agar is a gelatin-like substance used to fill petri dishes, and it creates the perfect nutritional space for growing everything from mold to fungi, which a lot of mycologists use to study them. You want to properly sterilize your Agar to kill off any germ or contamination. This is why we're going to need a pressure cooker in order to sterilize our Agar. So what can we do with Agar? We can germinate spore prints with Agar. We can germinate spore swabs. We can clone mushroom tissues with Agar. We'll be able to clean up contamination from our mycelium. We can multiply our culture to create an endless copy of our genetics. We can also isolate genetics in order to pick out certain traits that you want in your mushroom grow. We can also use Agar for long-term storage using culture slants. You can take colonized Agar and create liquid culture out of that. And we can also inoculate our grain jars with Agar as well. I'll be releasing videos in the future on these various topics related to Agar, so please stay tuned for future videos in regards to this series. So now that you understand a little bit about what you can do with Agar, I'll go ahead and introduce you guys to my recipe here for creating Agar. One thing you'll need is our main ingredient, which is agar powder. I'm using the telephone brand powder here. We're going to need potato flakes. These are pretty much instant mashed potato flakes that you can buy at the grocery stores. I'll show a picture of what the brand that I use here. We're also going to need corn syrup. You can find corn syrup at any of your grocery store. If you don't have corn syrup, you can also replace this for honey. We're going to want food coloring. This is completely optional. I like the food coloring. It adds color and makes it easier to see contamination. You're going to want a media bottle as well. This makes pouring the Agar a lot easier. And you're also going to want some kind of a container to measure out your ingredients in. You're also going to want ketchup cups or disposable condiment cups. These are much cheaper and easier to find at your grocery store compared to petri dishes. And last but not least, you're going to want a scale in order to measure out the ratios of ingredients we're going to use for this recipe. Oh, I forgot to mention, you're also going to want a laser temperature thermometer in order to read the temperature of your Agar before we go ahead and pour it. The recipe I like to use for Agar involves potato flakes as our main nutrient. There's many other recipes for Agar out there, but for the sake of easy to get ingredients, I chose potato flakes. All of these supplies are easily found at your grocery stores. The recipe I use is simplified to the ratios of 3:1, 3 grams of potato flakes, 2 grams of agar powder, and 1 gram of corn syrup. And all of this is going to be added into half a cup of water. You can scale this into as much as you like. For today's pour, I'll be using 12 grams of potato flakes, 8 grams of agar powder, and 4 grams of corn syrup to 2 cups of water, which is equivalent to about 400 milliliters of water. So I'll go ahead and measure out here 12 grams of potato flakes. I'm going to try and get close to it as possible. If you're a little bit over or under, that's okay. The recipe is very flexible. You can add as much or as little ingredients as you like. I find this recipe to be very consistent in getting results for me personally. Alright, after we add our potato flakes, we're going to go ahead and tear the scale back to 0, and we're going to add the agar powder. I'm going to be adding about 8 grams of agar powder.
Dưới sự đồng ý của PhillyGoldenTeacher, video được chuẩn xuất Việt bởi Cương, NpsLab.vn.
Alright, once you get your 8 grams of agar, we're going to go ahead and tare the scale again back to 0. Last step is we're going to add about 4 grams of corn syrup. Like I said, if you don't have corn syrup, you can replace this for honey as well. If you go a little bit over or under, that's fine. It's just a general ratio. Our final step here is to add our water. I'm going to go ahead and use the media bottle here to measure out 400 milliliters of water. It's the equivalent to 2 cups of water for this recipe here. And once you have all of your ingredients together, we'll go ahead and heat this up on a pot. Get this to boiling and make sure all the ingredients are well mixed together before we pour it into our bottle for pressure cooking. So with your ingredients together in the pot, go ahead and bring the heat up to a high. Wait until it starts to boil. Once it begins to boil, we want to go ahead and take it off the heat and pour it into our bottle immediately. You don't want to keep this on here for too long, otherwise it's going to overcook the agar. So right when it starts to boil, get bubbly like this, we'll take it off the heat and pour it into our bottle here.